This didn't happen in New Jersey. There were plenty of reports, and you're feeding a stereotype.
Chuck, it did happen in New Jersey. I have hundreds of people that agree with me. And by the way,
but they want to agree with you. That doesn't make it true.
Chuck, you have a huge Muslim population over there, and that's fine. That's fine. But you have a huge Muslim population between Patterson and different places and Jersey City.
It's the exchange that has the media and political world abuzz. One of the few times when a member of the press refused to be snowed under by Donald Trump. But this is about more than just Trump, and it's not solely an issue with him. It's the need to hold every candidate accountable on everything they say, something that has certainly escaped the left-leaning press when it comes to interviewing Hillary Clinton. But maybe the Donald provided a public service, because sometimes maybe you need to admit you were wrong. Let's dive in then. Begin there with this edition of The Political Animal. Start from the right. Welcome the man who started Tea Party Nation, former District Attorney Judson Phillips. From the left, veteran political media consultant from the firm Fletcher Rowley, John Rowley. Gentlemen, a pleasure to have you here. And Judson, let's go ahead and start with you from the right. With everything that has been happened, and of course this came from Meet the Press, where Chuck Todd, who is called by many people just a liberal hack, let's face it, that's what they call him, left-leaning liberal media. But did he get it right? Was he at least saying, look, maybe you were wrong? Or did he dig in too deep, and was he just part of the problem?
Well, first of all, it's a fair question, because anytime a politician puts something out there, it's a fair question. But there's a bigger issue that I think he's missing. Trump is doing a phenomenal job of speaking to issues that Americans have concerns about. Americans may or may not have concerns about Hillary Clinton's emails, but they're scared to death of a Paris-style attack in New York or Newark or in Naples, Florida. And so Trump is talking about this, and few other candidates will.
But he's talking about it, and again, I just want to be fair here. Let's point out that he's talking about it, but there is no evidence that it happened. So, Judson, is that really the time when maybe Mr. Trump needs to say, maybe I was wrong?
You know, I think Donald Trump subscribed to an old school of thought that was made famous in a John Wayne movie. The line is, never apologize, it's a sign of weakness. And for Donald Trump, his story is, I saw people celebrating the 9/11 attacks on 9/11. I can remember seeing video not from America, but from the Middle East, where Muslims in the Middle East were celebrating the 9/11 attacks. So maybe he's right. I don't know. I haven't seen convincing evidence either way.
Judson, let's look at it this way. No matter what Donald Trump says, he continues to grow in the polls. Ted Cruz is gaining a little bit on him, but Donald Trump has been leading now for months. Come on, be honest a minute here, Fletcher. The left has got to be a little bit concerned because he's rolling, and he doesn't seem to have any stopping him whatsoever.
We are ready and waiting for Donald Trump as the nominee. I mean, I think the adage he is going by is, don't let the truth get in the way of a good soundbite. I mean, a lot of his message appeals to a very small sliver of the electorate, the Tea Party wing of the Republican Party. So if it's a crowded field like it still is now, it can work for him. As this narrows to a one-on-one race, eventually it's going to get down to probably Trump and one other candidate, or it narrows to, if he was somehow got the nomination, a general election. These reckless statements are going to start biting him because people expect a lot more from a presidential candidate than they do of just someone who's trying to gain news. And, you know, I mean, all of this shooting from the hip is really going to start to bite him in the butt.
All right, let's move on to something else here. Open letter published on the website of Ebony Magazine. Over 100 church leaders and academics warned pastors that meeting with Donald Trump would be a mistake. Now, there was a meeting today at Trump Towers. The press conference was canceled that Mr. Trump was going to hold. But actually, there were pastors coming out of this meeting, quite frankly, John, who said, we support Donald Trump. We believe in him. We believe that he's our friend. Now, that African-American base is heavily left-leaning. You've got to be a little bit concerned because, let's face it, there are members of the black community who like Donald Trump and think that no matter what he says, he's the guy and they'll vote for him.
It's hard to really determine the meaning of that since they said they were going to get 100 endorsements and they backed off of that. I mean, from a staff and operations standpoint, it was total amateur hour with Trump's team because, again, they had announced they were going to get 100 black ministers and clergy to endorse them, and then they had to cancel the the entire press conference. So, I mean, it's in New York. It might be people he already has relationships with, or maybe may even have business interests aligned with. And I don't know that anybody's that concerned about Donald Trump, as he would say, being loved by the blacks. That's what he said many times, which is just crazy.
He said there's an awful lot of love in that room. Okay, less than 90 seconds to go here. Judson, let me come to you. Ted Cruz has actually been seen as somebody who has been sidling up to Donald Trump recently, but today at a town hall in Iowa, he said that he does not believe, first time he's come right out and said it, he doesn't believe Donald Trump will be the Republican presidential nominee. Is this just the next logical step that Cruz has to take in order to overcome Donald Trump and get rid of that warm and fuzzy?
Well, I don't know that Cruz has been sidling up to Donald Trump. They've not engaged in a war of words because...
No, but he's been very friendly to him. Come on, let's be honest. He's been very friendly when the talk comes around to Donald Trump.
He has been very friendly to Donald Trump, but he's also not been going after a lot of the other Republican candidates either. And I think he's wisely perceived that if he made an attack on Trump, it would backfire. Look what happened to Rand Paul. Look what happened to John Kasich. Look what happened to some of these other people. They attack Donald Trump. Guess what? They crater in the polls. So it's a smooth tactical move on his part.
So it is then, in your opinion, the right thing to do and the right time to go ahead and do it with 2 months to go to Iowa. Start the attack.
Well, I would not characterize it as an attack. He's putting out his positions. He disagrees with Trump on some things. He agrees with Trump on some things. But he is picking the right moment to start surge, because surging now, as opposed to what like Scott Walker, who surged in July, and guess where he is today? He's at home in Wisconsin watching the Packers. Surging right now is the right time to do it, as opposed to doing it too early or doing it too late.
Well, let's do this. 10 seconds to you, John. Do you think Ted Cruz can overcome Donald Trump?
I think if he can get it to a one-on-one race, he could beat Trump. I think that's the key. When you've got 15 candidates in a race, Trump gets attention and Trump gets in a lead. If it gets down to a one-on-one race, I think anybody could beat him in the Republican field.
Here we go, coming down the line towards Iowa. John Rowley, Judson Phillips, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news continues.